Hey there, I'm Vince.
And I'm Haze. Welcome to the Wellness Lab Digest, where we distill life-changing insights from top wellness experts into bite-sized, science-backed episodes that fit your real life.
If you're into quick, practical tools for better health, hit that share button now and share this episode today with a friend who needs it. Don't forget to check the description below for links to our trusted sponsors and ways you can support the show. Now, let's feed your mind and fuel your day.
Here's a shocking statistic that caught my attention. In just 5 years, from 2010 to 2015, we completely transformed how an entire generation experiences childhood. Before 2010, kids mostly had basic flip phones. By 2015, they were spending up to 15 hours a day on smartphones.
That's such a dramatic shift in such a short time. What exactly happened during those critical years?
Well, social psychologist Jonathan Haidt calls it the great rewiring of childhood. His research shows this fascinating but troubling pattern. Teen mental health was actually pretty stable from the late 90s through 2010. Then, around 2012, it's like someone flipped a switch.
What kind of changes are we talking about specifically?
The data shows dramatic spikes in anxiety, depression, and self-harm, especially among teenage girls. And here's what's really striking. This wasn't just happening in the US. Similar patterns emerged simultaneously in Canada, Australia, the UK, and across Europe.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that timing, because that's right when social media really took off with teenagers, right?
Exactly. And Haidt points out this crucial distinction. Early social platforms like Friendster and MySpace were relatively harmless because you could only access them from a computer for a couple hours a day. But between 2010 and 2015, we got front-facing cameras, Instagram, and high-speed mobile internet. Suddenly, kids were online almost constantly.
That must have some pretty serious effects on developing brains.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where Haidt's research gets really interesting. He identifies 4 specific harms from what he calls the phone-based childhood. First, there's social deprivation. Before smartphones, teenagers spent over 2 hours a day hanging out with friends in person. Now that time is spent alone, scrolling.
But aren't they still connecting with hundreds of people online?
That's the thing. Those surface-level online interactions don't provide the same developmental benefits as face-to-face relationships. We evolved for intense, small group connections. When kids are constantly trying to manage their online presence, like a brand, they're not developing real social bonds.
So what are the other 3 harms?
The second is attention fragmentation. Kids are developing what Haidt calls quick dopamine brains from constant stimulation. Think about it. If you're waiting for an elevator, phone comes out. Sitting on the toilet, phone comes out. Every spare moment is filled with content consumption.
Oh, wow. And I imagine that makes it really hard to focus on anything that requires sustained attention.
Exactly. The third harm is sleep deprivation. Screen use before bed is strongly correlated with poor sleep quality, which creates this vicious cycle of irritability, anxiety, and more screen use to cope.
And let me guess, the 4th harm has something to do with addiction?
You got it. These apps are literally designed like slot machines to keep users hooked. Haidt shares this heartbreaking story about his 6-year-old daughter begging him to take away her iPad because she couldn't stop using it herself.
That's pretty disturbing when you think about it. A 6-year-old already recognizing she's addicted but unable to control herself.
And here's what makes this whole situation even more complex. This technological shift happened alongside another major change in childhood that Haidt calls the tragedy in 2 acts.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in Act 1, the 1990s, we lost what Haidt calls the play-based childhood. Kids used to play outside unsupervised, ride bikes, explore their neighborhoods. But then highly publicized child abductions led to this culture of fear.
Oh, right. I remember seeing all those missing children on milk cartons.
Exactly. Even though stranger abductions were incredibly rare, parents started keeping their kids inside. And guess what was waiting for them indoors? Computers, and eventually smartphones.
So what can parents actually do about all this? It seems impossible to completely shield kids from technology nowadays.
Well, Haidt suggests 4 key guidelines. No smartphones until at least age 14, no social media until 16, phone-free schools, and more independence and free play in the real world.
Those sound like great guidelines in theory, but I can already hear kids saying, but everyone else has a phone.
That's why experts like Jill Murphy from Common Sense Media emphasize having ongoing conversations with kids about technology from an early age. She suggests treating digital safety like other safety rules. Just like we teach kids how to cross the street, we need to teach them how to navigate the digital world.
What specific strategies does she recommend?
She emphasizes creating family media agreements and paying attention to how different technologies affect your specific child. Some kids might be more susceptible to anxiety or addiction based on family history. Rather than just banning devices, help kids recognize when technology is negatively affecting them.
That makes a lot of sense. Empowering kids to be thoughtful about their own technology use rather than just imposing restrictions.
Exactly. And you know what's really interesting? The research shows that when schools implement phone-free policies, test scores actually improve and social interactions increase. It's like giving kids permission to be present in the real world again.
So there's hope for turning this around.
Yes, but it requires collective action. Individual parents can't solve this alone. We need widespread cultural change around how we think about kids and technology. The phone-based childhood may be our current reality, but it doesn't have to be our future. Thanks for tuning in to the Wellness Lab Digest. If this episode helped you, here are 3 quick ways to support the show. 1. Share this episode with a friend who needs this today. 2. Subscribe to stay updated with fresh, body-loving wellness insights. 3. Check the description below for links to our trusted sponsors and ways you can support the show. Stay curious, keep moving, and we'll see you in the next episode.